I understand that, but the law says that any member of the public can walk into an agency and ask for public records. It's not a threat.
No.
I'm not a terrorist. I'm asking to see public records. And you have an obligation to make them available to me right now for me to inspect them and copy what I want. That's all I want.
Yeah.
This is Susan Bassey, and I want to thank all of you for helping me with our investigative reporting project. If we can do this here, we can do this all across the country and insist on transparency and accountability, especially when it comes to our public records and our right to know about the business of our local government.
So if you've concealed those in a database or you don't have them or whatever, I just need to know that because I have a USB. If we want to stick it on my USB, we can copy it that way. If it's in a paper file, I'll take a picture of it.
So Ms. Bassey, the records have to be, that decision has to be made by David Angel?
It's not a decision, it's a law.
State and federal laws provide access to public records. A specific public records request is given 10 days and additional time if an agency needs to produce those records. But a disturbing trend is the pattern and practice of informal policies and procedures whereby agencies simply conceal these records and we have no ability to access them and inspect them as the law demands. And yes, the law does provide for that in California and many other states, that any member of the public, without providing their identity or any other information, has a right to walk in and inspect these records during normal business hours. And agencies are not allowed to delay or obstruct that inspection.
I have a right to inspect them right now. This is your building.
I'm not disputing that. What I'm telling you is you're not going to receive any records today because it has to be reviewed by David Angel. And I'm not trying to be argumentative with you or dispute the law with you. I'm just telling you all those requests go through him.
So where's the policy that says that? Where's the policy that says when a member of the public asks to inspect the records, it has to go through David Angel?
You can ask David Angel that question.
You don't have the policy right now? You guys aren't? So you don't know what your policy is?
Yes, I've been told that it goes through David Angel.
That's what you've been told?
Yes.
Did you ever see a policy that said that?
I've been told it goes through David Angel.
And through normal public records request, I of course requested the District Attorney's Policy and Procedure Manual. And I have found that on almost every issue, the attorneys are uninformed as to the law and their own internal policies, and they just appear to make things up for whatever suits their political purposes and their political aspirations. And that took me to even further investigations as to how the local district attorney and members of his office were interfering with our local elections.
Yes.
So when you were hired with the district attorney's office.
And so if you'd like to sit down here quietly and not make a disturbance, you're welcome to sit here all day.
And wait for the records?
Yeah, except you're not going to get them today because David Angel isn't.
You may have seen our channels on YouTube where cops are violating people's rights. We record every day.
Well, see, that's an interesting thing. You have the Attorney General, which I think we've proven. The Attorney General who does nothing about judge crime except to allow it. At the same time, the Attorney General, if you read the news, you guys are probably aware, there was this recent law that said information about police that had engaged in bad behavior, domestic violence, what have you, that information had to be released to the public. The Attorney General fought that.
Right.
He lost. And you know, people talk about the blue line.
There we go, guys.
The judges, the prosecutors, they all stick together. And then when one of them does something bad, they all cover for it. Now I say all, that's not really fair because there's a lot of good judges and people in law enforcement out there. In fact, probably the most of them, but as we all know, a few in the barrel spoil the whole bunch.
And these are records that I obtained from the California Attorney General's office related to the indictment of Judge William Dancer, who was indicted for conspiring to fix traffic court tickets for members of the San Jose Sharks and the San Jose Earthquakes with members of the Los Gatos Police Department, a police department that has been known for the corruption and favors they give to judges and lawyers in the area for a very long time. But it was not the indictment of Judge Dancer that was so remarkable, it was how he was indicted. And it was after a credible source informed me that Judge Dancer was indicted after he called Karen Sununu a bitch. Karen Sununu was a high-ranking prosecutor in the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office. She is responsible for the hiring practices and the policies and the media outreach that has led to a culture of corruption in the DA's office. And Karen Sununu has been the subject of our investigation as her conduct relates to local elections.
Now to an NBC Bay Area exclusive, a political scandal with a new twist. For months, she's been investigating former Santa Clara County Supervisor George Shirakawa and current San Jose City Councilman Javier Campos. But now we've learned that County Prosecutor Karen Sununu Towery may have a conflict of interest. NBC Bay Area's Damian Trujillo joins us from San Jose this evening. And Damian, any laws been broken here?
It doesn't appear to be the case at this point, Raj. I found these documents filed over at the city clerk's office at San Jose City Hall, and while it appears that Karen Sununu Towery did nothing illegal, ethicists tell me in the interest of public perception, Karen Sununu Towery should have recused herself from this case. At issue are these anonymous flyers sent to Vietnamese American voters in 2010. They gave the appearance Magdalena Carrasco, who was running for a city council, was aligned with communist Vietnam. Assistant DA Karen Sununu Towery said former county supervisor George Shirakawa was on one of the flyers. So last month she hauled Carrasco's opponent in that race, Javier Campos, to testify before the grand jury. Campos was the man who beat Carrasco in the council race and was also an aide to Shirakawa, who is now serving time for other financial crimes.
Mr. Campos was acting on my advice.
Former Judge Gregory Ward is Campos's lawyer and told him to plead the fifth at the grand jury hearing last month. Now NBC Bay Area has uncovered these financial statements from the Carrasco campaign in 2010. They show Sununu Towery donated $100 to the Carrasco campaign. So did her husband, James Towery.
The question might be, who is the best person for this job? Perhaps it is someone who is senior in the office. And then is there anyone else who has not been involved in any of the races?
Judy Nadler is a senior fellow at Santa Clara University's Government Ethics Center. Nadler wants to know if there's a protocol in place to make sure there are no appearances of conflict of interest in the DA's office. But Hastings law professor Jeff Hazard was more direct. On the phone, Hazard said although the donation was minimal and a long time ago, prosecutors are held to a higher standard and must remain above the fray. And to protect the integrity and reputation of that Sununu Towery should have stepped aside in the Mailer case.
And I think the people would expect that the persons who were in charge of that investigation would be free of any biases or potential prejudices against the persons who are the target of the investigation.
The DA would not grant an interview on camera, but in a statement, Jeff Rosen said he knew of the donation back in May. Quote, because Ms. Sununu Towery has never had a personal relationship with Magdalena Carrasco and her political contribution was minimal, I determined that removing her as one of the two prosecutors was not required by statute or case law. While some may differ on what it takes for prosecutors to maintain appearances, my job is to follow the California law on conflicts and make my decision in the best interests of an effective prosecution.
I think that raises some troubling questions as to whether or not the investigation is impartial.
You can read all of Jeff Rosen's statements on our website, NBCBayArea.com. An insider in the Campos campaign tells me they might file a grievance with the state bar. The state bar tells me they cannot comment on any possible cases they might see.
And in a few hours, the public communications officer at the Office of Voter Registrar will be back in the office from his holiday weekend. And it will be time for me to contact him again about my right to access and inspect these records. And I plan to live stream that inspection because we have reporters and citizen journalists standing by, waiting to see what's in those records, waiting to see if in fact there is misconduct related to local elections from 2018 that may be persisting as the 2020 election approaches within a few weeks.
Hi, Ms. Rich. This is Sergeant Manuel here at the Family Justice Center. Can you please give me a call at your earliest convenience? 408-792-4322. That's my desk number. Or I need some direction. Miss Bassey is here, and Miss Bassey's being Miss Bassey, and I caught her on camera turning on her camera/video function on her iPad. I can't confirm she's not recording or not, but she is acting very Miss Bassey-like. If you can please give me a call, we can get some direction from you, what you want me to do. I'd be really appreciated. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.